Hey guys, Dark Humility here. You can always catch me at twitch.tv/Dark Humility for 6 to 7 days a week of Diablo 2 action, PD2, D2R. We do it all. Mostly playing hardcore online, like here, hardcore ladder. PD2, of course, you can always catch my guides here on YouTube and my D2R guides on Maxroll. Today, we have a special showcase for you guys. It is the Whirlwind Barbarian Stronger Than Ever showcase. This is an extreme version of a hardcore Whirlwind Barbarian with a crazy, crazy weapon. Of course, first we're going to want to we'll go do stats, skills, mercenary, and demo. Last time I showed him off, he was pretty strong. He was really strong, actually. But now, he is a monster. And we will, of course, go through it all in due time in a moment. And then, of course, we'll do one solid demo so you can see just how powerful this monster is. Alright. At one solid map, that is one of his best tier 3s. Alright, so Glug, level 98 hardcore barbarian. He's continuing on his 99 journey. We are still alive. And, of course, what we want to do is get enough strength in to wear our gear, just like normal. But now I probably put in another, like, I would say 100 plus points into dex for damage. Also helps out defense a little bit and attack rating. Definitely want to make sure you probably in a map, unless you have ignore target defense, but especially against bosses, I would say this is a really good idea. Unless you use Battle Cry to have 10,000 or higher attack rating. If you have Battle Cry, you have ignore target defense, you don't need quite as much attack rating, but my attack rating is pretty ridiculous because of the rest of my gear anyway. And then you just want to put the rest of your points into vitality. Of course, you'll see here this barbarian, if you saw him last, you might have seen he was doing about maybe 19k, 20k. Now he has not 1900 to 19k or 1900 to 20k, but he has 5,300 damage to 30k. Now, some of that is the dex, but most of it is the weapon, which we're about to show here in a moment. This definitely makes up for the lack of amp. We're no longer using amplified damage because we have so much damage. We also have negative physical res elsewhere in the gear. So, what a beast. Of course, he also has stacked res across the board. He's looking very stacked and healthy, even has some stacked poison res for those negative all res maps, and of course this is to prevent getting absolutely destroyed by things like conviction fire towers as well. So he is a beast. He also has curse immunity. That's something else we're going to want as well. And he has more DR than he needs, as I explained in the guide video for the Whirlwind Barbarian. You only need 50% if you're going curse immune because there's no way to lose more than 50%. However, there are maps that drop your physical res as well. And so with Slam, sometimes you lose DR, so, you know, it's not a terrible thing. We just maxed Iron Skin and got a whole bunch of DR. And then, of course, we have our hit recovery still, which really only applies when you're out of Whirlwind for the most part, so when you're teleporting in, so that can save you sometimes. And, of course, the FCR from our Cultist helps with the teleport, and that's about it. We have some base critical strike, but most of it's coming from our skill, full arm and spear mastery, so we have more crit strike there as well, so we have some double damage. You could have more crit strike, but as we'll explain, it's not necessary, super necessary to focus on deadly strike necessarily when you have this much damage. And then of course you have some crushing blow as well. Now that we have a different weapon, we have even more. Life leech still very high, and you definitely need at least one source of mana leech, and that will get you what you want. Have more MF actually now, closer to 200. We could also have a little bit more than that, but it's pretty solid. Alright, and now skills. Max Whirlwind, 1 point in a leap so that you can travel long distances with both teleport and leap. I think it's an easy 1-pointer. 1 point into all the rest of the things. Max Iron Skin, Max Arm and Spear Mastery. But 1 point in a Grim Ward, this helps against bosses. 1 point in a Battle Cry helps against physical immune or very tanky monsters like bosses. If you swap to your grandfathers and use it, as you can see, it's a very high level and you can do a ton of damage with it. That's very cool stuff. Then you want max battle command and the rest of your points into battle orders pretty much. And That's going to be the solid build here for this dude. And then the Mercenary, still the Defiance Aura Mercenary we showed in the guide. He's now max level though. And as you can see, he even has res, he even has stacked res. Stacked lightning res is good for the Merc because Conviction, Lightning, Enchant kills him very easily. And then he has some other stacked as well. He has 35% DR, which is decent. Has some FHR from Templars. And he has a lot of life leech, which is something you want. He has good attack speed. He has 80, which is over the breakpoint for at least one of the last breakpoints for Thresher, G-Thresher. You can get 142, but it's difficult to do. Also maintaining other stats like stacked res. Mercenary has maximum concentration aura pride, maximum might aura templars. You can see there's a cham here for cannot be frozen. Cannot be frozen. He now has CBF. He didn't have that in the other video. He also has more res, and he's still able to wear it. He has his attack speed here, here, and here. He's got attack speed, res jewels. He's got a DR corrupted gold wrap. If I upgraded this, I'd want like a DR corrupted Nas coil. Nosferatu is for deadly strike and some more life leech. But MF isn't a bad thing, so when he kills things, it gives us some more. And a maximum all res Merman sprocket, which is kind of nice as well. Alright, and then of course, what we have here is the main gear. So, you might have remembered that before we had a Reapers, a 5-socket F Reapers, I believe, is what I did the video with. I upgraded that Reapers to an even stronger Reapers, but now I was able to trade for on hardcore this crazy weapon. Someone actually had one and didn't die with it. There's actually a couple people that may have had one as well that did die with it. It is a 6-socket ethereal steel pillar with almost max ED. And almost max enhanced defense. It has negative 12 Phys Res as well, which is decent. And overall, it is just a beast. It's only 9 total ED away from 100% perfect ED on this weapon, which is 500. And it even has a lot of minimum and a lot more maximum damage as well. Some of these jewels in this thing are like 40 ED, 22 max jewels. Have like a 40 ED, 19 average damage jewels as well, like 19 damage total between minimum and maximum. And then a couple of just like really, really high ED, really high maximum jewels that aren't 100% perfect, but pretty close. That's pretty much the best we're going to be able to do on this. This thing is a monster. You can check the average damage on the other one on the Reapers. It's like 120 to 1155 or something. And with Amp you're going to get a lot more negative Phys Res, but Amp doesn't always proc instantly. This thing always hits, and it's got crazy damage. The damage is just out of control with this thing. But Reapers is still insanely good. Reapers, of course, will allow you to get that Amp and also crush tankier enemies as well, just fine. So Reapers is still insane. I think, though, this, once you get something like this, overall it is stronger. Especially if you make use of how much max damage it is by pumping as much enhanced damage or ED as you can on other items, such as here on your Crown of Ages. Obviously, things like Overlord's Helm or Cyclopean Roar can be used as well for Battle Cry and for more negative enemy Phys Res. Since we're hardcore, we are still hitting that curse immunity, and so we're using that Crown of Ages as well. Of course, we upgraded it a bit. It's got more minimum damage, it's got high maximum damage, it's got a lot of dex. It's just really, really strong. And then, of course, we have an almost maximum ED Saracens here with maximum all res. We got this Occultist. This is the main thing I'd say I could still upgrade. I could probably get like a 10 DS one with 30 plus curse duration reduction. Hopefully we can maybe get something like that at some point. I don't know. Maybe we can just get a really high MF one, just boost our MF. I did trade for this ring. This ring is crazy. I made my previous ring that I had, the Mana Leech one. This one just gives us a more life leech. Because Steel Pillar lacks some DS, you could definitely go High Lords if you wanted. But because it has such high damage, high ED is scaled extremely well off of this. So with really high ED and really high everything, it's just really, really powerful. Now, a really high damage crafted weapon would also very good to scale ED off, and the ED seems to be scaling better than the Deadly Strike because, like I said, we still have the Mastery as well, and I did test that to some extent, so that's kind of interesting. Of course, we have Enigma, of course, still for repositioning on top of dangerous enemies that are repositioned the Mercenary as well. Enigma is just really good overall, also increases their survivability quite a bit. Then, of course, we have the 2 5 Warcry Grandfathers for buffing Shout, Battle Orders, and Battle Command. And then we have, of course, more Life Leech here. This is why we have all this Life Leech. Like, we had Life Leech on Reapers, but now we have even more. We have Maximum Curse Duration Reduction. We have a slammed Wisp Projector. Now, you might notice all of our items are slammed now. This has 30 MF. There's definitely some improvements we can get, but on hardcore, they're very tough to find. Working on it. And then we have an MF Gore Riders. And then we have max damage AR Life GCs. FHR max damage AR there. MF max damage AR Life all res. And even a +2 Annie. So we actually slammed that Annie that we had, and it got +2. Got 3 +2 Annies from the Slam Fest that we did, and a very high Barb Torch. So as you can see, our GC quality is also improved quite a bit. Anyway, this guy is a monster. In general, these are the kinds of things you want. And we went over, of course, some things more in detail in the actual guide itself, including other gear options and other things like, using Soul Drainers here and Softcore. Softcore, they actually have Overlord's Helms, which are negative Phys Res. You can always use more insane things as well. But this ass Steel Pillar is crazy. And we do have about, I'd say, 400 to 500 less life. Maybe like, I don't know from the last video, maybe it's only like 300 less. But with the increased defense, defense is really high. And with just how much damage it does and the sheer power of the leeching from it, should be pretty solid. And of course, the minimum damage doesn't suck either, so your damage is extremely high and extremely consistent. If you max Dex, you could even get closer to like 35,000. It's always crazy stuff you can do if you're playing softcore. And even with hardcore as well, you can go maybe a bit more dangerous. The only disadvantage to losing this health is that maybe maps like Kyrgyzstan's Marketplace might be a little bit more dangerous because we don't have the means of dealing with those towers. But besides that, it's pretty solid. At any rate, he's a beast. An absolute beast. And let's do it. Let's show you guys what he is capable of. Don't roll open wounds on your maps. Remember, open wounds is bad. It will kill your merc, and you can't pot on mid-whirlwind. It will also kill you, and it can affect your ability to leech. So overall, do it, baby. 300 density, high rarity map. Let's put on the experience so you guys can see 98 experience. 98 hardcore ladder barbarian. Let's do this. As you can see, a lot stronger than he was last time. This is the Whirlwind Barbarian, stronger than ever. What a monster. He pretty much one-shot everything. This guy, I think, is Stone Skin. Yeah, he's a little tanky. So, for my previous videos, some of you guys might have been wondering, why is he S tier? Well, here you go. It's like, I have builds that can clear quite a bit faster than that. Well. You can turn on the DPS meter as well if you want. It's not very accurate all the way through, but sure. Oh, wow. And there you have it, folks. Holy moly! Kind of just leaving the drops on the ground just to show you guys how this will work. I'll pick them up afterwards. Look how fast this guy gets shredded. I won't even use the Mercenary. Now obviously with maximum life and some other stats, it might take a little bit, might be a little bit harder. For the most part, he's one-shotting everything. $170,000. Wow. I think we could get up to 200,000 in some maps. You're right. Except it does I think it does calculate it based on hitting all the mobs though. There was someone in the chat asking about, you know, how's it calculating it? Maybe it's not as high as it could be. That's probably true. We could test it on a boss. If you want to check out this awesome music too while you're whirling and crap, definitely can. You guys can always check out Dark Synth, Carl Casey, Aim to Head. Good stuff. All copyright-free music, of course. The best kind, for not breaking the videos. Now, yeah, like I said, if you want a bit more damage against bosses, you could run High Lords. Overall, though, the higher ED is just chaining off of the crazy amount of damage this weapon has. Driving such ridiculous jewels and whatnot. Yeah, I don't think the boss is making it rise because I'm not hitting as many monsters. Yeah, it's making it fall. Good check, though. Good check. Good check. The pillaring has begun. The 98 grind. And we will continue. We will pillar these monsters into oblivion. Finally, glad to say we got the jewels, man. Those jewels were tough. It's still possible even to get slightly better quality jewels. That's the crazy part. You know, there's no end to how good the jewels can be potentially. Ah, 2 River of Blood maps. Speaking my language. Oh man. Oh la la la. Oh man. It's like smooth as butter. Smooth as butter! Look at him fearlessly plow through auras. Oh shit. Oh baby. Alright, so hopefully our hardcore 98 Barbarian makes it to 99. Got potential. It's gotta not make any horrible mistakes, but at the very least, we got him to what I would call very satisfactory max power here. This is what you can achieve with a crazy weapon. No, SCB is perfectly fine for Pride. Weapon kind of just depends on Mercenary weapon depends on like how much DR and stuff you want. Or not DR, sorry. Like how much attack speed you have on the under Mercenary. Why did I say DR? There you have it. Depending on how you count it, probably about a 6 to 7 minute clear there. Of course, you can clear faster if you skip the boss so you're not as distracted by some other things, but yeah. Beast! Anyways, Merry Christmas, everyone. Make sure to get you guys this in time for Christmas Eve. This is the Whirlwind Barbarian, stronger than ever on Hardcore Ladder Live for Season 6. Of course, post the timestamps below. Post some timestamps as well, so you guys have some chapters in case you want to view different parts of this here. At any rate, monstrous stuff. And yeah, the crazy thing is there's ways to get more damage. You can use Fortitude if you don't want as much mobility. You can really push 40k, and you can push more negative enemy res if you don't care as much about survivability. Oh man, he's a monster. He is a monster. Probably one of the most expensive and strongest builds I've ever made in PD2, playing on hardcore no matter what. But this is what solo mapping can get you, you know? If you just solo map 10 hours a day for almost a month, you can get multiple crazy builds, not just one. Anyway, see you guys next time. Dark Humility over and out.